my blistered hands, all to ensure that we had clothes and supplies for the following year. I knew our family didn't have money, but I didn't know just how poor we were. My dad, an uncertified math teacher at the Crystal City High School, didn't earn enough money to support us. So for many years, my life followed the same cycle between Crystal City and migrating to North Dakota. It wasn't until my 8th grade summer that a life-changing opportunity presented itself. I was invited to a NASA-funded program at the Southwest Texas Junior College in Uvalde. The director of the program begged my parents to remain in Texas that summer. This meant no field work and foregoing thousands of dollars. My father hesitated, but he ultimately agreed. He knew it was my dream to become an astronaut, so we stayed behind in Cristal that season. That July, I received the Outstanding Mathematics Award and was provided an all-inclusive trip to Disney World. It was my first time flying and my first time away from home alone. It was an incredible trip, and I felt like I was on top of the world. That is, until I got a call from my mother. Ruben, your dad is in the hospital. The hospital? I thought maybe my dad had injured himself somehow. I actually had no idea that he had been sick for many years. When I saw him, I was in disbelief. His speech was slurred, his memory was broken. This wasn't the same man who had dropped me off at the airport 5 days ago. The worst pain about seeing him was that he didn't even recognize me anymore. 2 weeks later, my father died at the age of 45. After years of denial and grieving, I accepted my father's death as my motivation. I knew my family was counting on me to be successful, especially my mother, who is here tonight. Hi, Mom. Our house was on the brink of foreclosure. I had no option but to persevere. I became hyper-focused on getting to college and figuring out a way to pay for it. I knew I had to keep fighting to get my family out of poverty. During my first 3 years of high school, I focused diligently on my studies. Becoming an astronaut would require unquestionable investment. I was committed. This persistence was unobstructed until my junior year. I received a knock at my door one morning before school. As I peered through the window, I saw 6 men with shotguns and bulletproof vests. The U.S. Marshals had come for my older brother. This situation added yet another layer of struggle to my life, and this time I found it harder to stay strong. I began to doubt myself. I started getting into trouble. What was the point, I asked? Why keep trying? My dad's dead, my brother's in prison, and I'm gonna fly to the moon? Who am I kidding? I'm never gonna be an astronaut. My calculus teacher, Ms. Irma Martinez, noticed that my family struggles were really getting to me. She called me into her classroom, sat me down at her computer and said, "You are applying to MIT." For 2 consecutive weeks, she stayed after school and made certain that I applied. That is how much she loved me. Her investment and my hard work paid off. I was accepted to MIT 3 months later. Thank you. Once I was in college, family remained extremely important to me. During my freshman year, I called my mother daily, which you guys should too. In one of our calls, I heard worry in her voice. "What's wrong, Mom?" She went on to tell me that she had been diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer. I couldn't believe it. Another blow. My dad was taken from me in middle school, my brother incarcerated in high school, and now my mother's life was at risk while in college. The weight on my shoulders was unbearable. Recall that I wanted to touch on 2 themes tonight. The first was resilience. Resiliency is not inherited. It is built when overcoming adversity. I'm telling you now, you're gonna face some hard days, financially, emotionally, and academically. You're gonna feel like the universe is out to get you. Regardless of the conditions and the challenges you will encounter, you need to push forward. Don't stop, don't quit. As the great Dr. Martin Luther King once stated, if you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you keep moving forward. However, resiliency alone will not make you successful. It also takes embracing failure and learning from these experiences. I've been blessed with great opportunities, and to people who don't know me, it may seem like my life has been pretty easy. I stand before you tonight humbly to tell you that I have failed many times along the way. Many times. I struggled academically at MIT. I wasn't ready. I failed on a personal level while at Harvard. I cried many nights. And I entered my Columbia program with a lot of flaws and a lot of self-doubt. I tell you this because I want you to know that the road to success is not always pretty. Success is not about being smart, and it's not about being perfect. None of us are. Even Michael Jordan, arguably one of the best basketball players of all time, admits he's failed over and over again in his life, and that is why he is successful. I shared this with you because at your age, I didn't know that failure was a normal part of life. I learned this the hard way during my freshman year at MIT. After barely passing classical Newtonian mechanics and electricity and magnetism, my college advisor called me into his office. Ruben, he said, your grades don't meet the aeronautics and astronautics requirements. Your GPA is too low. You're gonna have to switch majors. My heart sank. I was confused. For the first time in my life, somebody was actually telling me on paper that I couldn't achieve my dreams. I felt like the ultimate failure. I was shocked, I was angry, I resented that professor. He didn't know what I'd been through. It took some time, but I accepted the change and embraced my failure. As John Maxwell once said, failure is inevitable. It is growth that is optional. And from this experience, I grew. I would make it my mission to pick up my father's mantle and help as many students achieve their dreams as I could. And the 98% passing rate in algebra is evidence of that. That is why I became a teacher, and that is why I will become a principal. Through my failure, I found my charge, and you will too. As I read through the newspaper this morning, I counted 124 of you. Collectively, your class is going to encounter thousands of failures. Maintain your resolve to learn and grow from these experiences. Class of 2016, as I look at you, I see unbound potential. Raw, limitless talent that needs to be shared with the world. Let them know the potential and power of freestyle. I'm not looking at seniors. I'm already looking at teachers, computer scientists, business owners, doctors, and politicians. I want you to know I am proud of each and every one of you. This town is my home, and you are my family. I hope that you take my message with you as I take freestyle with me everywhere I go. Thank you.